Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel. I know it's been a while since my last video, but I'm back and here to review these two Sonic figures for you to enjoy. As you can see, today we have Charmy Bee and Burrobot, two figures that I've been wanting since they were first announced. As per usual, I went to Target to do some shopping for some general stuff, and then I did a little Christmas shopping. And I went to the Sonic section just to check and see if anything was there, and lo and behold, there was Charmy in the far back behind a whole bunch of Sonics. So I grabbed him, and I realized he was the last one in stock, and it always seems that way, because the same thing happened to Burrobot. He was behind a whole bunch of Sonics, and he was the last one in stock. So I picked them both up a week apart, mind you, and here we are now. So yeah, that's pretty much the whole story as to how I got them, and now it's time to actually take a look at these figures. So for Charmy's box, you can see that he has 7 points of articulation, and if you'd like to read the caption, feel free to pause now, but I'll read aloud. Armed with his signature jacket and sharp stinger, Charmy is the essential backbone of the Chaotix detective agency. And as you can see here are the figures in the set: Tails, Burrobot, Charmy, Sonic, and Chopper. And here's a quick close-up of the figure inside the box. Next up is Burrobot with 5 points of articulation. Using his mole-like drill, Burrobot is a Badnik that can travel underground at high speeds. Here's the same figures, and here's a close-up. And here they are outside of the package. Very nice figures. I love the details, love the paint, but let's hold off on that and actually get on to the review. So for this review, I think we're going to start off with Burrobot first. One thing I noticed about the figure is that he has wheels on the bottom, which I thought was kind of interesting. I thought he actually had like movable like wheels, not like little tiny ones on the bottom, but that's okay. Not really complaining about that. His waist kind of has this bend articulation, his slight head movement, and his arms move. So that's pretty much it from what I saw, but initially I assumed that his drill actually spun around. So I was kind of looking forward to that, but no, unfortunately he doesn't have any drill articulation, but that's okay. Still a nice looking figure. Save the best for last here is Charmy Bee, and I have to say his sculpt is incredible. So yeah, let's look at the articulation. And so his head moves, not 360 just because he's a stiff new figure. His arms move around, they do the swivel, they do the typical Sonic figure movement. His wings move individually, which is great. His legs do the typical thing. They move up and down, back and forth, they swivel around, they do all the good stuff. He doesn't have any antenna articulation, but really I can't complain there because he already has wing articulation, so yeah. One thing I noticed is that his smile was printed on weird, kind of like Movie Knuckles was, so yeah. Sorry, Jakks. That's the only gripe I have about the figure. But yeah, that's the articulation on these two guys. Here's a comparison between the original DJAY'S Charmy and the new Jakks Charmy. So right off the bat, you can tell that DJAY'S Charmy is slightly bigger, and I kind of prefer that proportion slightly more than the Jakks one. But, you know, considering that Jakks Charmy still has his antenna, he still wins. Boom, roasted. I also noticed that the transparent wings actually kind of look a little bit better, but at least Jakks Charmy can actually move his wings. Another thing to point out is the open hands that Jakks Charmy has. I'm assuming that maybe it was intended for him to hold a ring as like a callback to Knuckles Chaotix or just any other accessory. I thought that was a cool idea, but I have yet to actually try it. Shoe details go to DJAY'S, of course, because they actually managed to put them on. The smile is still really unsettling on Jakks Charmy. So who knows, I might actually repaint it, but maybe not. But yeah, despite all the flaws, I still picked Jakks Charmy over the DJAY'S one. One more thing I would like to point out is if Jakks Charmy had the open palm on one hand, I think that would look slightly better, but you know what? I'll take it as it is. I still love the figure. Looks like the Chaotix is back together. And I gotta say, despite the weird proportions on Charmy, I think these are a great set of figures. You know, I think in a way it does make sense because the classic Charmy from the Chaotix game was like super small. So you know what? I guess it's not too far off. I do actually like the vibrant colors that the Jakks figures have. Because in a moment we're going to take a look at the Jazzwares versions altogether. But yeah, this looks great. I've been waiting months just to be able to have these three together. And now I'm happy that I own them, especially before Christmas. So yeah, there is the look at the Jakks Pacific version of the Chaotix. Here we have yet another comparison between Jakks and Jazzwares, and looking at the proportions on the left side, we can definitely see that despite Charmy being small, it kind of makes sense when you consider Chaotix. Yeah, Jazzwares, I don't think they were necessarily thinking about proportions per se. I think they were looking more towards the quality of the figures. And yeah, I mean, the figures are still great, but, you know, over time, like, they're gonna end up decaying and kind of losing the same mobility and whatnot. I mean, look at Espio. I had to replace his entire left hand with a spare Sonic hand, and I had to repaint it, resculpt it, you know. So that tells you that the quality is better on Jakks. I mean, they are fresh figures too, so that kind of already helps. But yeah, proportion-wise, definitely prefer the Jakks versions and the sculpts too. Nothing against Jazzwares. I'm personally not as much of a fan as I thought I would be. As much as I would love to have both sets of figures here, I may end up selling the Jazzwares Chaotix. Not because I hate them, I just kind of need a little bit more space. Now here we have Burrobot with his Badnik buddies. As you notice that I don't have duplicates of, you know, Crabmeat, Buzzbomber, and Motobug anymore. Sold those, just because I feel like I don't need doubles, you know. It was cool at the time, but now I just kind of need more space on my shelf, so there you have it. The Badnik army is growing, and I'm really happy about that because I just want to see as many Badniks made in Jakks Pacific's toy line, you know. There's so many possibilities. Like, you could even go into, like, the Adventure era and Adventure 2, all that stuff. You can even do egg pawns. That's what I'm looking forward to the most. I can't wait to see egg pawns in Jakks Pacific form. And of course, I'm going to end up buying 2.5-inch versions of the characters. If it turns out that Egg Pawn becomes a 4-inch figure, that's fine too. Because I know Egg Robo was, so was Mecha Sonic and Metal Sonic, you know. Like, if that's the case, sure, I'll do that. Now on to my favorite section of the video, displaying the figures. So here's Burrobot with his Badnik buddies. And finally, we have Charmy Bee and his little Chaotix crew. Alright, that does it for the video. So I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate you all for sticking by, clicking on the video, sharing, subscribing, liking, all the good stuff. So here's my Sonic display as of December 2022. Very, very small now compared to what it was before, but hey, I think it's just a good idea to just be dedicated to doing what I want to do, you know? So Jakks Pacific is going to be my mainstay for collecting Sonic figures. So yeah, hope you all enjoy this display. Once I have enough room on this shelf, I will definitely display them differently. But other than that, I hope you all have a great day or night, and take care. Peace.